My name is Sandy Liking, and I'm the Client Solutions Training Manager here at AAM. So the main focus for today, we're going to be focusing on the filing of your 6th month, June 30th, 2022 magazine publisher statement filing. Now, for this statement period for June 2022, there have been some reporting simplification and consolidations that did take place. Do want to point out that your 6th month, June 2022 publisher statement deadline is going to be August 1st, 2022. Typically, the 6th month ending June publisher statements for periodicals is due July 31st. But since July 31st is a Sunday, the due date is going to be Monday, August 1st, 2022. Now, if you want to get a jump start on filing, you certainly can, and the filing tool will be open on July 1st. Now, AAM recently has been working closely with the magazine division to streamline reports and data by updating and simplifying reporting requirements. Now, all these consolidations, simplifications have taken place already. They are in effect with your January 2022 issue. So for your 6th month ending June 22 publisher statement, all these reporting changes, consolidation, rule changes have taken place, and they are effective and will be implemented in the June 2022 publisher statement for both US and Canada. The next few slides, it's going to be a refresher of some of the reporting categories that have changed. I'm going to show you what these categories were previously and what they will be for your June 2022 filing. And also just a quick snippet of what it looks like in the filing tool before we go into our live demo. So one of the reporting changes that did occur was for deferred subscriptions. In the past, there used to be a line item under paid subscription for deferred. Now, if you have deferred subscriptions, you still report it, but you include it in individual subscriptions. So in the filing tool, you'll just see individual subscriptions. So if you have deferred subscriptions, remember you include it in individual subscriptions. Also, too, if you have subscriptions you obtain through an award or loyalty type of program, you would also include that in underpaid individual subscriptions. Next has to do with a category called paid membership. So in the past, we used to have a separate line item for association and club. We had a separate line item if it was deductible, association non-deductible, club deductible, non-deductible. So if you have club membership subscriptions or association subscriptions, you still report them, but it's going to be in one category called membership. So in the filing tool, when you go under paid subscription, there's a line item called membership. And this is where you're going to include if you have any association subscriptions or club subscriptions. And it doesn't matter if it's deductible or non-deductible, it all goes into this one category called membership. Also, too, AAM recognizes more and more magazines have what we call a brand membership program. These brand membership programs offer a variety of rewards and perks for a membership fee, and they include a subscription to the magazine. So if you obtain a subscription through a branded membership program, you can now count that, and it's included under membership. The next category, not a lot of magazines have this, but in case you do, we used to have school of classroom copies. If you did report school classroom copies, it used to be a separate line item. Now, instead of being a separate line item, you're going to include school classroom copies under sponsored subscriptions. So again, in the filing tool, excuse me, under sponsored subscriptions, if you had any school classroom copies subscriptions, you include that under sponsored subscriptions. Next two slides are where a majority of the reporting changes did occur. And we had a lot of consolidation between verified subscriptions and analyzed non-paid. Now, for verified distribution, the two main categories remain the same. You still have public place and individual use. That stays the same. But what really did change was when you get to the additional analysis of average verified. So for public place, previously there were 14 subcategories you could choose from for public place. Now there are 3. So for verified public place, you have medical dental, you have personal care, or you have other public place. So if you have subscriptions going to a doctor office, you have, that would be medical dental, a hair salon, personal care, hotel copies, you would put that under other public place. Next, under verified, you have verified individual subscriptions. And previously, there were 26 subcategories for verified individual use. Now, there are 2. And these 2 categories are individually requested and other individually addressed. So those are where the 2 main changes have occurred, is with the verified reporting. We did a lot of consolidation of categories, really simplified it for you. Also, too, one of the changes for verified is consecutive issuance is no longer a requirement. And also, I just briefly want to touch base with verified digital. If you have verified requested digital, it's going to be based on the recipient's request of the magazine. Other verified digital will be based on the recipient's access to the digital edition. Do want to point out that if you want to report verified digital, contact your audit manager. The audit manager can discuss with you what your digital program is and the best way to go about reporting your verified digital. Next is analyzed non-paid. And if you notice, analyzed non-paid is now analyzed non-paid bulk. And the reason why it's just analyzed non-paid bulk, because previously we used to have list, market coverage, and delivered with host product listed under analyzed non-paid. Well, now if you have list, market coverage, delivered with host product, you report that under verified subscriptions, other individually addressed. So the only thing remaining in analyzed non-paid is analyzed non-paid bulk. So remember, when you go into the filing tool, and if you have lists, market coverage, or delivered with host product, you're going to report that under verified individual use subscriptions, other individually addressed. Next has to do with multi-title digital subscriptions. One of the simplifications and consolidations that AAM did is that we looked at the rules for both the US and Canada, and we wanted to make sure that the rules were the same between the 2 countries. So we aligned the rules the best we could. So one of the alignments that we did was for multi-title digital. So regardless if you're a US publication or a Canadian publication, to count multi-title digital, it's going to be based on unique opens. So that's the change. The main change is that it's based on unique opens. So it's the same for US and for Canada. When you report multi-title digital, it's under paid subscriptions in the filing tool. You'll see a separate line item for it. And then under the analysis section in the filing tool, there's a notes section. You're going to there'll be an explanatory for your multi-title digital program. I do want to point out that if you do have questions about your multi-title digital program, how the best way to report it, what backup information you need, reach out to your audit manager to discuss your program to ensure that you have everything in place so you can report your multi-title digital program for AAM. Next is the average price calculation. Now, we really did try to simplify this to make it as not so cumbersome and complicated. The main change that we did for the average price calculation is that it's based on the current 6-month reporting period. Previously, it used to be 12 months. Now it's the current 6-month reporting period. So what that means is that when you file your average price for June ending publisher statement, it's going to be reflective of the sales generated from January 1st of 2022 through June 30th, 2022. The other changes that we did for this calculation is that now you can include credit cancels, and premiums can be included in the calculation, as well as international sales if they're less than 10% of your total circulation. So just a real quick look at the formula. You're going to take the sales generated from the subscriptions ordered within the 6-month period. Then you're going to deduct sponsored sales, multi-title digital, and international sales over 10%. Divide that by the total number of copies generated from these sales, and that's going to give you your average subscription price per copy. Then you're going to take this average subscription price per copy and multiply it by your annual frequency for your publication. So if you publish 12 times a year, it's going to be multiplied by 12 to come up with your average subscription price annualized. We have a really good guide out there, and I'll show you where the guide is for average price calculation. If you do have any questions, please reach out to us, and we're more than happy to help you with the calculation. Next has to do what we used to refer to as the production paragraphs. This is when you would take a look at your gross subscriptions sold, new or renewal sold within the statement period. You look at the duration of the subscriptions, if they use premiums, how did the person obtain the subscription. Well, AAM is no longer requiring that to be reported. So you're not going to see that in the filing tool, so you don't need to report it. If you do want to still report this information, you certainly can, but you would have to put it in the notes section of your publisher statement if you wanted to. But right now, the production paragraphs are no longer required to report. Next is the filing tool updates. Some of you who have been using our filing tool, you'll notice some changes. One of the changes is in the publication information section. Now, I do want to point out that when you go into the publication information section, this is always going to be your starting point, because how you answer the questions in this particular section will dictate how the filing tool is going to be set up for you. So the first question is, what circulation types will you report? Do you have print? Do you have digital issue, digital non-replica? If you don't check a particular box, it's not going to show up in the filing tool. So you want to make sure you check what's applicable for your publication. The next question is, what circulation categories will you report? Let's say, for example, I want to report analyzed non-paid bulk. Previously, I didn't, but now I have it. Well, if I try to check the box and it's grayed out, you need to contact AAM so we can include that for you. So I just want to make sure that you fill out your information that's applicable for your publication. But if you have any questions about what categories, if they're not showing up for you, contact AAM. Also, too, on the publication information section is your contact information and basic information about the publication. This is where you're going to put the annual frequency for your publication. So this question here, how many issues excluding special issues are in your publisher statement period? That's for the filing period. So in my example, I have 6, but I actually publish 12 times a year. So those two are different questions. So you want to make sure that you have your annual frequency updated here, because this will be reflected in your average price calculation. Also, too, just make sure you update your contact information and check the box that you have verified this information. If you do not check this particular box saying you verified the information, the filing tool is not going to let you proceed. So make sure you check the box that you verified your information. Next is the issue by issue section. What we did in the filing tool for this particular section, we actually combined a couple things. We combined rate base with the issue by issue, just so it's in one section, so you don't have to go into multiple sections to report rate base and then issue by issue. So when you click on issue by issue, you have your rate base and then your issue by issue information. So if you don't have a rate base, you check the box saying you don't have a rate base. But if you do have a rate base, what you're going to do is then go down below into the issue by issue section, and you're going to see a column. It says rate base. You're going to fill in your rate base by issue. And the filing tool, what it's going to do, is going to calculate your 6-month average rate base. Your 6-month average rate base is what's going to be printed on the PDF document of your publisher statement. The rate base by issue is not going to be printed on your publisher statement, but it will be included in the Media Intelligence Center in the periodical analyzer. So this is a couple changes that we did in regards to rate base. We did include rate base information along with the issue by issue section. And I'll show you that in more detail in the live demo. Next has to do with Rapid Report. So this really, what changed here for Rapid Report, it used to be if you had distribution 250,000 or greater, you had to report your issue information with us pretty much on a monthly basis. It was known as a report. Now that requirement is changed to 500,000. So if you're a publication 500,000 or greater, you report rapid report information with us. Do want to point out that for those that do have rapid report information, you can also, there's an import report data key in the issue by issue section. So when you click on that, it's going to take the information you've already data entered for rapid report, and it will populate your issue by issue. This next slide is just basically just showing you what the publisher statement's going to look like. It doesn't include all the new reporting requirements. It'll have membership. It'll have your verified on there, public place, international, or individual use. So it does go through, and then it has personal care, the three buckets for public place, and as well as individual use. Do you want to point out, and I get this question a few times, where's your geographic information? So you do file geographic information when you file your publisher data, but it's not printed on the document, and it hasn't been for the past few years. Where that is housed is in the Media Intelligence Center, and I'll show you where that is towards the end of the webinar. But this just gives you a quick glance of what the publisher statement will look like. Before I do switch over to the live demo, I do want to point out that back in the spring of 2022, up until December of 31st of 2021, we did have some COVID exceptions available to you for when you filed your publisher statement claims. Those COVID exceptions have expired. So when it comes time to filing for your, and they expired on January 1st of 2022. So basically what this means, there are no more COVID exceptions when you file your 6-month statements for June and moving forward. Now, bear with me. I'm going to get switch out of my PowerPoint, and I am going to go into the live demo of the filing tool. So to access the publishing statement filing tool, what you're going to do is go into AAM's main website at auditedmedia.com. And when you go onto our main website, you're going to have a login. You click on login and you get two choices. You have Publishing Filing Center or the Media Intelligence Center. So when you file your distribution claims for your statement, you want to use Publishing Filing Center. So you go ahead and click on that. And what it's going to do is that it's going to go ahead and ask for the member number and username and password to get into the filing tool. I do want to point out that for demonstrations purposes only, I'm using the Entrepreneur magazine, but any information I put in the filing tool for Entrepreneur, it's purely for demonstration purposes. It is not their numbers. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. If you're not sure what your credentials are for the filing tool, go ahead and contact us, and we're more than happy to provide your credentials to get in the filing tool. Do one last note on your credentials. These are different than your Media Intelligence Center ones. So just to make sure that your Publishing Filing Center credentials, they are different than the Media Intelligence Center. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Login, and you give it a moment. And now I have some more choices on the right-hand side. So I want to select File Publisher Statement Claims and give it a moment for it to pop up. And what will always come up first will be the welcome page. Now, most people skip this welcome page, but I do want to point out there's actually some really good information in the welcome page. In particular, my two favorite, one is Contact Us. If you have any questions on filing, you can use this link to contact us. Also, too, is tutorial and guides. And if you click on tutorial and guides, there's one thing I wanted to show you. There is a publisher statement guide that is really good. It goes into specific details of each section of the filing tool, and also goes over exactly what you need to put into the filing tool. So if you do have any questions, we do have great resources for you. And they're clickable links in the welcome page. Now, the three main sections of the filing tool that you will use to file your 6-month statements for June is going to be the general information and circulation data, analysis, and then review and submit. Now, there are two other sections here. We have cross-media filing and brand management. Media filing, you only would use this if your publication, if in a AAM audits, in addition to your circulation, we audit your cross media, such as your websites, your social media, e-newsletters, things of that nature. So that's where cross media filing comes into play. Brand view management, actually everyone has can have brand view. It's free. And what it is, it's an interface on how your publication looks in our Media Intelligence Center. You get to customize your publication. You get to put a little bit more information about your publication. You include a link to your media kit. It's a really good marketing tool. So if you have any updates, you can, for your brand view management, you can, that's where you would do that. But for right now, what we're going to focus on are the three main categories: general information, analysis, and review and submit. Now, when you go into the filing tool, you always want, after what you want to always start is with that publication information page, because like I had previously stated, how you address the questions in the section is what's going to dictate the rest of the filing tool, how it's going to be set up. So right now, it says work circulation type serial report. If you notice, I didn't have digital non-replica checked. What that means is, since it's not checked, I'm not going to see digital non-replica anywhere else in the filing tool. So if I do happen to have digital non-replica, I want to make sure I check that box. Also, too, how many issues, excluding special issue, are in the publisher statement period? So for this 6-month statement, I have 5 issues. But then there's a question on frequency. This is the annual frequency. So I publish 11 times a year, but I only have 5 for this publisher statement. So just to let you know, those questions are 2 different questions. If you happen to see a category that it's not allowing you to check the box, it's grayed out, contact AAM, and then we'll make sure we can have that category included in the filing tool for you. As I previously stated too in my PowerPoint, you want to make sure this information is correct and updated. And once you've verified that it is, you check the box. Because if you don't check the box, what's going to happen when you go to save, it gives you a message. And it says, please confirm that the contact information is correct by the confirmation checkbox. So that message means you got to check this, that I have verified information below to be correct. Then you can click save. Do want to point out that for each section of the filing tool, there's 2 save features. There's save and then save and continue. Just remember to save and save often. Next section is this average circulation. This is where you're going to report what your distribution is for your print and digital and by distribution type. This is what we went over in the PowerPoint presentation about some of the changes that you'll notice. So here's membership. Remember membership. So if you have association or clubs, gets under membership. Verified. For a verified public place, you have 3 buckets to choose from: medical, dental, personal care, and other. And then you have verified individual use description. You have 2 buckets: individual use requested or other individually addressed. Remember that if you have list, market coverage copies, or delivered with host products, you now report them under verified individual use under other individually addressed. If you're not sure about the reporting categories, click on this link here. And what it will do, it's going to provide, direct you to our resource center, and you click on the PDF and it gives you a quick visual of what the categories were previously and what they are now. So that's a really good, helpful resource for you. And again, that's right here in the average circulation section. Before I go to the issue by issue section, I want to point out that average circulation and issue by issue, they kind of go hand in hand, meaning that when you look at your total paid subscriptions and your total verified, they need to match what you input in the issue by issue and vice versa. So just for example here, for my issue by issue, the filing tool calculates what my total paid print is. It's 117,200. When I go back into average circulation, my total paid subscriptions is 117,200. So just to let you know, they kind of tick and tie. One of the consolidations I talked about that we did in the filing tool is we can put in the rate-based information in along with your issue by issue. So there's not a separate one just for rate base. The reason why was just to make it easier, just so everything's in one spot for you. Rate base, if you don't have a rate base, check the box, and then it indicates you don't have a rate base. But if you do have a rate base, what you want to do is go down to the issue by issue section and fill out what your rate base is by issue. And if you notice what the filing tool is going to do, it's going to add up your rate base by issue, the number of issues you have this statement period. So in my case, it's divided by 5 to come up with my average rate base of 150. This 150 rate base would be reported on the PDF document of the publisher statement. The rate base by issue, it's not going to be printed, but it will be data-based in our Media Intelligence Center. So that's pretty much rate base. Just a couple more things about rate base before I go into the issue by issue portion. If you have a rate base change, just go ahead and check this box, then put what the date is for your rate base and what the new rate base is. If you want to further explain your rate base, you certainly can do that by putting information here about your rate base. Here is also check if the rate base includes paid and verified. If input that it doesn't include analyzed non-paid bulk, because I don't have analyzed non-paid bulk, so that's why it's not checked. Now for the issue by issue section, for those that have rapid report data, you can go ahead and click on import rapid report data, and it's going to fill in your issue by issue information for you. But for most of us, we don't have the rapid report, so you're going to manually input your information. AAM tries to put in the issues that we think you have for the current statement, but if they're different, you can modify it, just type over what it is. And if you need to add an issue, let's say, for example, this is actually just June, I can just change it and it will change for me. Or if I need to add an issue, go ahead and click the plus icon, or to delete an issue, click the red X. Let's say for my June, it's actually June/July. So I type in June/July, and if you notice, it doesn't have my assigned calendar date. So use this red calendar box and then put June 1st, or when the starting period is for that issue. We did talk about rate base. Next is special issue. Not a lot of publications have this, but what a special issue is, it's an extra issue that you published. It's out on the marketplace longer than your typical normal issue. It's usually like an anniversary issue, a special issue, so to speak. If you do have a special issue, you would go ahead and use the plus icon, put what the, like in my case, if it's an anniversary issue, and I can go ahead and select a calendar. I'll just put June 1st. And then I'm going to mark it as special issue. What will happen is that special issue, you would report what the distribution is for that special issue, but it's not going to be calculated in the average. Like I said, though, most publications do not have a special issue, so I'm going to just go ahead and delete it. But the next section is analyzed issue. Everyone has an analyzed issue. This is where you select an issue within the statement period. AAM doesn't care which one you select. You get to choose, but you have to select an issue you want to analyze further in the filing tool. Basically, what this is for is that later on, we're going to look at your geographic information, and it's going to take that one issue you selected, and it's going to break down the distribution by state and by province in the geographic section. So that's what we need for you to check what issue you're going to analyze for the geographic analysis. So that's your analyzed issue. Most publications choose the last issue of the statement period, but you can choose whatever issue you want. Just to let you know, the filing tool is not going to let you proceed unless you select an analyzed issue. So when you click save and you didn't have an analyzed issue indicated, it's not going to let you proceed. And then fill out the issue by issue for the rest of the particular categories by issue, your paid print, your digital, your verify. You fill out what's applicable for your publication and then click save. Oops, there we go. Okay. Okay, I'm getting an error message here. Not sure why. So just bear with me. Are you sure you want to leave it? Yes, I want to leave. Okay, next section, the filing tool. It's the regional and a demographic edition. Not a lot of publications have this, but in case you do, if you have a separate edition for your by region or demographic, click the plus icon and fill this information out. Next, we have analysis. Click on prices. So the first thing you're going to report in prices is what your cover price is for single copy. What is your single copy price? And then what is your 1-year basic subscription price? Then below that is your average price calculation. Now remember, your average price calculation is going to be based off of the 6-month period. So it's going to be based off the sales generated for January 1st through June 30th of 2022 for the statement period. And then it's going to take, you see, based on the following issues per year frequency. See, you see that 11, that's coming from a publication information section right here. So if you need to change it, you're going to change your frequent, if it should be 12, you change it here. But that's prices. I do want to point out, again, if you click on the support center, we have a guide that's specifically for average price calculation. It goes in detail on how to calculate your average price. Also, too, if you have any questions about average price calculation, please feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to your audit manager and we'll help you through that, through the calculation. Next is the geographic section. This is when you take that issue that you indicated in the issue by issue, that analyzed issue, and you're going to break down that distribution by state. And if you're a Canadian publication, it'd be by province. And you're going to break it down by paid subs, if you have verified. If you had analyzed on paid bulk, that column would be shown, but since I don't, that's why I don't see that column. Do you want to point out that digital is just a line item? You don't break it out by state. It's just going to be a line item. And you just start manually data entering the numbers based off your reports to enter the information for your geographic section. Now, some prefer just to manually enter in the data. Some prefer to use an Excel file, and you could do that. However, you need to use our template for if you want to upload a file. So click download template. And what it's going to do, it's going to bring up an Excel template. And what you'll do is click enable editing. And then you can go ahead and copy and paste from your other reports into here for your geographic analysis, and then save that file. Then what you would do is choose file and then click upload, and then it will populate your geographic information for you based on the Excel file. Truly is a preference. Some people like working with Excel. It's easier for them versus data entering. It truly is a preference. But if you do want to upload a file, you do have to use our template. For instructions, if you just click on download instructions, and it goes step by step on how to upload a file if you want to upload a file using our template. Next is notes. Notes is basically what it is, explanatory. If you click on add notes, it gives you all the different options out there for different explanatories. And if you don't happen to see the explanatory that you're looking for, we do have one that's called miscellaneous. Miscellaneous pretty much is a catch-all. And we also have average, non-analyzed, non-paid. You want to click on that. And what that is it's your non-analyzed, non-paid. You go ahead and put in what that information is. Multi-title digital. If you have multi-title digital, click on that and put in your information for your multi-title digital program. Once you've entered all the information in the general information section, the analysis, you are now ready to in the final stages. So when we go into review and submit, we have publisher comments. This section really, these comments do not get printed anywhere. It really is just communication for you, between you and our reviewers. So if there's anything that you changes in your publication, if rate base change, price change, anything of that nature, anything you want us to know, just go ahead and put it here. That way the reviewer, when they're looking at your information, they'll know that you had some changes. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. Upload file. What this typically is used for is on your publisher statement, you can have the logo of your publication on the actual publisher statement. If you do, you can upload your logo. We require that's either in a JPEG or a PNG format. If you don't upload one, we'll go ahead and use what we have on file. View data. View data is your proof. AAM does not email you a proof copy before it's released. It is in the view data section. So view data, you can look at view data as often as you would like prior to the release of your publisher statement. It's just a tool for you just to double check, gives you a visual of what the information that you've entered. If you notice any discrepancies, if you're missing something, go back to the particular section in the filing tool to correct. One thing I do like about view data is this print icon. Highly recommend that before you submit, either print this information out or go ahead and change your printing location to save as a PDF and save it as a PDF so you have it as backup. Also, too, want to point out that once your statement is submitted, it does go through a review process. So a reviewer looks at your publisher statement, they compare it to what was previously released. And if they notice some major differences, they're going to contact you. If not, they're going to email you and say, hey, you have one more chance to look at your information before we release it. And in that email will direct you back into the filing tool, back to view data. So you can just double check, and then in that email, you can say, yes, go ahead and release. So view data really is important. It really is your proof. View errors. You want to make sure that this says no errors found. Right now, I do have errors because I didn't complete my average circulation and my issue by issue. Know that those kind of tick and tie. Also, your geographic ties to your issue by issue as well. So if there's any math errors, it does pop up in here. So make sure that this is all taken care of. So go back to that particular section and go ahead and complete it. Once you have no errors found, then you're ready for a statement submission. Go ahead and just put your name and title. Today I'll be the publisher, and check the box below it. And this is basically your electronic signature. And you're basically testing to the best of your abilities the information that you've data enter is true and accurate. And it is subject to audit. And then you go ahead and make sure your email is correct, and then click submit publisher statement. So that's a filing tool in a nutshell. Real briefly, I do want to point out that when your statement is released, it goes into our Media Intelligence Center. So in the Media Intelligence Center, we do have webinars about Media Intelligence Center, and I have a colleague, Jenny Anderson, who does a fabulous job of going over our Media Intelligence Center. But just real quick, just to show where your data is located, go ahead and sign into the Media Intelligence Center. Remember that your credentials are different than the filing tool. So go ahead, if you need to know your Media Intelligence Center credentials, let us know. You have access to our Media Intelligence Center 24/7. You have access not only to your publication, but to all our clients' release data as well. What I like is a search by bar. Start typing in my case, I'm using entrepreneur as my example. If I don't check the box by it, I just click on the title, what's going to happen, Entrepreneur, it brings up their brand view profile. They did a really nice job in filling out their brand view profile. It has an overview page, has a description about their publication, a link to their media kit. This brand view link, they can share with any of their clients, and their clients would have access to their brand view profile, which is a pretty cool thing. But if you didn't build out your brand view profile, that's okay. But everybody will have this reports library tab. This reports library tab is where your audit report and your publisher statements are released. So if you wanted to look at your released publisher statement, in this case, we can look up our December. It'll bring up the PDF document, so you can download it and save it. If you notice that geographic information is not printed on the document and hasn't been for the last few years, to access that, the geo, what you want to do is go back. Where are we here? Back to the main page for the Media Intelligence Center. Check the box next to the title. So it brings up this Analyze Data. Click Analyze Data. click Periodical Analyzer, and then scroll down and there's your geographic analysis. Click Select All, Submit, and it'll go ahead and get it for you. So just to let you know, advertisers and buyers have access to our Media Intelligence Center, whether it's a direct feed or they get data feeds or they go directly in. So they are looking at this information as well. So our Media Intelligence Center is a pretty resourceful tool. And geographic analysis, you can export it to an Excel file, and that way you can have it to do comparisons for yourself, etc. So that was a lot of information in a short amount of time. I know I slightly went over the current time, but there was a lot of information to go over. Do want to point out we have some excellent resources available to you. I will include this it's included in my PowerPoint presentation, and I'll also include it in my follow-up email. But also, when it comes time to filing, if you have questions, please feel free to either contact myself or my colleagues, Shelley or Tim. We're more than happy to help you out with any of your filing questions. And if you want to get jump start on filing, it is open on July 1st. Remember, the due date is going to be due August 1st. So with that, thank you so much for joining me on today's webinar, and have a great day.